NJ, you are within the energy sector. You're very influential. I mean, you're very well knowledged. And I've come across your book, Billions at Play. I've read it. I've sneak peeked into into the book myself. And page 221, for example, you mentioned in the book that government must set the stage. They must create that conducive environment for a thriving environment for entrepreneurs in there, which I find very interesting. And with that regard, I mean, we take countries like Mauritius, where they are the number one safest country in the whole of Africa, the number one country when it comes to ease of doing business. Obviously, they are doing something. They keep ranking first, first, first. It doesn't come without challenges as well. And also in your book, you mentioned that African countries must, follow some of the examples of what's working, and then those that are not working, we do without them. What can you say about Mauritius, and what do you think they're doing differently? I'm sure you with the African Energy Chamber, you have an office in Mauritius as well. I want to know what prompted you into having an office in Mauritius, and what are some of the advantages that you see that it's helping thrive your business? What can you say about that?
Mauritius has built something really great. But what's the big example? It tells you that free markets, limited government, individual liberty, rule of law, when you establish these principles, it gets your country to work, because people need to see that there is an open judiciary, that if you have a problem, you don't have a politicians get to influence the judiciary. People need to understand that markets need to work. And with markets work, everyday people work. Mauritius has built that. Mauritius has become that gateway to Africa, that business can say, we're comfortable, we feel like our investments are protected. So businesses have gone into Mauritius, they've invested in Mauritius, but then from Mauritius now, they've gone out to Africa. And they have also seen that they can repatriate funds, they can use Mauritius as a hub for their Africa offices. I mean, you go down there, you got the cyber cities. What they've done there is amazing.
True.
But also look at what this was, an island where the only thing they produced was sugar cane.
Yes,
But they could transform that and look at creating a value chain around sugar cane, and looking at the byproduct. Fast move around Africa. Why can't we use our cocoa to create a bigger value chain and create more with our cocoa and transform our economies? So you can really start saying, instead of you buying Swiss chocolate, you could buy African chocolate, because Switzerland doesn't grow cocoa. But look at Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, they can process that cocoa and create that value chain. But also you got to really look at your banking. Your banking system, you got to build it. You got to make it stronger. But then we got to address these issues that we don't want to address. Issues around transparency. It's not a bad thing. We don't need some white guy coming down here telling us that you need to be transparent. You need to stop being corrupt. Sometimes, I mean, you look at Wirecard, in Europe. They got big corruption happening in Europe and everything. So we don't have to take a backseat on saying, oh, Africa is corrupt. But Mauritius created a transparent system. You want to open a business? You go into Mauritius, you get your business set up within 5 to 7 days, and nobody is trying to ask you like, hey man, you got some Coca-Cola for me, you got something for the boys.
Money under the table.
That's not happening. That's correct. Because you know what? They think big, they dream big, they're looking at the future. And I think once you build in those principles, then guess what? You create a multiplier effect. Young people get inspired. They create jobs. They open opportunities. So Mauritius have built something, but now we want that to be infectious. And you want to take what Mauritius has done. And this is something I like a lot about Mauritius. We don't have to go to America to understand this. We could look at Mauritius and see how they built a system and it worked well. We don't have to go to Europe to understand this. We could look at it right here in Africa, because when you look at it right here in Africa, it's inspiring because it's at home.
I like that. And obviously Mauritius has got some of the internationally recognized banks and being an international financial sector. Obviously, they're setting a very great example.